All right, good. And it's raining. Chryso friends, welcome back to Opus Elenae, where we take ridiculous ideas and run with them. Partners Barony recently hosted their spring event, and in honor of it falling on the week of April 15th, the theme was Shakespeare. My friend Forrest got tapped to play the part of the bard himself, and I thought it would be fun to make him a falling band. People tend to associate Shakespeare with ruffs, but the only portraits we have of him, questionable though they are, show him wearing either a pickadill, a wide collar which is supported by a wire armature, or a falling band, which is the precursor to today's shirt collars. Everyone go grab your cuppa. Today, I am drinking a tea that was very kindly sent to me by my friend Chris, who is an amazing cosplayer. You may know him on Instagram as Prince of Snark, who incorporates historical techniques into his builds so seamlessly. The tea is Lady Grey a la Creme Black Tea by the Spice and Tea Exchange. It's your typical bergamot Earl Grey, but with added vanilla and citrus flavors that kind of soften the harsh edges a bit. It goes perfectly with the Rosemary shortbread cookies that I baked today. So let's get into it. I'm starting off by trying to figure out exactly how long my strip of fabric should be by draping a measuring tape over my shoulders. I'm using a midweight linen because it's what I had on hand, and the portraits of Shakespeare don't show any transparency. But if I make another one, I'll use a handkerchief weight to see if I can get that sheer look that higher class portraits show. Since this entire thing is made from rectangles, I'm going to pull threads in order to make sure everything is on grain. Next, I'm going to hem 3 sides of the collar with Anya's Magic Veil stitch. This will allow me to make sure that the darts go right to the edge of the hem. Now comes the fussy part, figuring out the depth and placement of the clocks or darts. By dividing the length of the collar, 35 inches or 89 centimeters, by the neck measurement, 16.75 inches or 43 centimeters, I get the width of the clocks. Once I mark out all of those with my trusty friction pen, I can fold and pin them into place. I'm choosing to top stitch the clocks into place by hand with a running stitch along both edges of the pleat. Nothing but nothing will move them out of place. Time to choose the lace for the edging. I am looking for the narrowest lace I have. I want it to be plausible for someone of Shakespeare's class and means. I do love this vintage lace edged handkerchief though. I'm just attaching the lace with a simple whip stitch, nothing fancy. Thank you to all of my current and continuing Ko-fi members, especially my newest member, Benny. Your support and the support of all of my members and croissants makes it easier to do what I do and provide quality content for everyone. Thank you all so much. Stick around after this brief commercial break to see the rest of the construction. The next step is to make the stand part of the collar, which I will do by cutting a rectangle of linen an inch longer than the neck measurement for seam allowance, and twice as tall as I want the stand to be, plus seam allowances again. I'll pin the collar to the stand right sides together, starting at the middle and making sure to include the lace at the ends. I'm sewing the pieces together with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I thought about doing this by hand, but then I remembered that I'm busy. After that, I can pin and sew the sides of the band. Then I'll clip the corners, turn the band right side out, and give everything a good press. Ties are the easiest way to close the collar, which would have been worn either between the doublet and shirt collars or on the inside of the shirt collar against the skin. I'm just using some cotton cording for the ties and making tassels for the ends out of whatever's left over. I used linen sewing thread to tie the tassels and then a small tool to fray the cording into individual plies. I'm attaching the ties to the collar. I have tied a small knot in the end first in order to make sure that they won't pull out after being used a few times. Then I can fold in the seam allowance on the underside of the collar stand and whip stitch it closed. So I very unfortunately didn't get any footage of Forrest at the event. He was busy and I was busy, and then it was raining and everyone was miserable. I did snag some pictures before the rain started though, and I thought I would just sit and kind of talk about what worked and what I'd do differently next time. I really like the detail of the hand-stitched darts. It adds a lovely textural interest to the collar, and I liked the lace to collar ratio. Moving into the 17th century, the bands become almost more lace than collar, and I wanted something a little more subtle than that for Shakespeare. I think the little tassels on the ties were adorable and just the right touch. Things that didn't work so well. I think the darts were a little too deep. When I was looking around for instructions or best practices for making a falling band, the only real set of instructions I found suggested using the entire 45-inch width of the fabric. I thought that was way too wide, but even narrowing it to 33 inches, the back of the collar was full enough that it didn't lay flat against the doublet. I actually have here a falling band that was made by Matthew Nagy, and his darts, as you can see, are much narrower, and the resulting curve is much less extreme. So this results in a band that forms a narrower cone and thus sits higher and tighter against the neck and shoulders. So the next one of these that I make, which will probably be an excuse to make my own bobbin lace, will have proportions that are more like this one, maybe halfway in between. Speaking of lace, I wish I noticed how different the shades of white of the linen and lace were. They looked very close in indoor light, but as soon as I got it in the sun, not good. Making my own lace will ensure that I can get a better color match with the thread. All in all though, I'm pretty satisfied with this for a first attempt, and Forrest loved it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. Click the little bell if you like taking your chances with notifications, but I can't guarantee anything. If you want to find me on social media, I am at Opus LNI everywhere, but the place that you can find me most reliably is my Discord, and the link is in the description box below. If you're interested in sewing or history or just a wonderfully supportive community, come and join us. And until next time, be kind, do the work, continue supporting marginalized people, and keep creating. Will.